Today, we're digging into the complexities of friendship, from how they form to friendship breakups. Our guest is Marissa Meizz, the founder of No More Lonely Friends.
A video about a woman in New York City went viral on TikTok a couple of years ago. It showed a man searching for a woman named Marissa. He wanted to let her know he overheard her friend group purposely rescheduling a party to a time when she would be out of town. That video eventually made it to Marissa, who then decided it was time to get some new friends. So she created the No More Lonely Friends group.
Life is too short for crappy friends. So when I found out my friends were going out of their way to exclude me, I decided, let's go!
To make new friends and travel the country and now the world, organizing No More Lonely Friends meetups so that other people would have a space that they can make new friends too.
We dig into her personal experience of a viral friendship fallout to how that led to creating a movement totally dedicated to helping people make friends in real life. We talk about how social media distorts our perception of friendship, why intentionality, vulnerability, and hard conversations really matter, and how to go out there and make new friends for yourself. This episode is filled with insights about navigating friendship as an adult and letting go of the expectation that every new friend has to be a soulmate. Let's get into it.
Did you feel at that time when that happened, was there like a juxtaposition of, holy shit, my friends aren't really my friends, and there's all these digital friends that I've never met that are hyping me up and making me feel a little bit better about myself? Did you feel really lonely in that moment?
I think a big thing that I low-key laugh a lot about in the back end of things, that like when that whole video stuff happened with like the friends and everything, I think it was hard because people assumed those were my only friends. So it was difficult because I was like, people are like, oh, you're the girl with no friends, or like, oh, your friends suck. And I'm like, I have other friends. Like, I had other friends around me, but that was just obviously publicly done where it was like, oh my God, these friends did you dirty, whatever, which is true. And like, it's always, terrible to like find out your friends suck or like whatever, your friends are talking bad about you. That was the hard part. I think the hard part was like learning that someone willingly chose to talk poorly behind my back, not the losing a friend part. I've been there, done that. Like I've lost friends, whatever, or like I've grown out of friendships, whatever. But I think the hardest part was like learning someone was questioning me as a person. I don't enjoy when people question my character, because if you question my character, you don't know me as a person that well to talk about me like that. And the person that did that is like, they did not know me very well. I didn't know them for very long. I didn't know them very deeply to the point where like I felt like, oh, if I had a wedding, I would invite them. Like that's kind of like how I gauge friendships. But yes, it was hard because it was publicly out there as like, you lost your friends and you have no one else, so it was interesting.
That's a really unique perspective that I haven't heard you talk about or wasn't thinking about.
Yeah.
So maybe it wasn't really as big of a deal, but the internet made it a big deal because they lacked context, so they created their own story.
There was no context behind it. And like obviously some random guy overheard it and like yada yada, it went into way deeper context than needed to be. Personally, like if someone just came and was like, hey, I heard blah 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 talking about you, I'd be like, oh man, that sucks. Oh well. But since millions and millions and millions of people saw it, and then they just went down this rabbit hole of like, oh my God, this girl Marissa got totally blindsided by her best friends. I'm like, best friends? I'm like, who told you that? Like, where? So it kind of just started its own narrative. And then from there, people just went and snowballed into like, these were her only friends, her best friends, her friend group.
I kind of have a theory about that. When I was talking so we have a friend who lives in a van, and that's what she does full time. She travels around, and she has just in the last 2 years really found a community that she's like, I feel connected with these people and I see them regularly. She's like, I actually really resonate with that story. I've had friends like that. Sounds like my middle and high school experience in its entirety. I wonder if so many people resonated with that feeling.
Oh, absolutely.
That they were like, this is my story. Those were my best friends. And now it's a viral TikTok.
I think 90% of the comments was, oh, I've had this happen to me. Oh, I'm there for you, girl. And that's why No More Lonely Friends got born, because these people were like, I've been there, done that. Let's do this. So all of the comments were all like, oh my God, like that's terrible. I've had this done before. Like I've been there. Like I kid you not, like 90% was all like, this has happened to me before. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Or like, oh, I feel you on that. Like been there, lost some friends, yada, yada. But a lot of them were like, close friends that have talked behind each other's backs or like something like that where, you weren't invited somewhere or something. Either way, they were still like my friends. So like it did hurt. Like it's still horrible to think, oh yeah, these people were talking bad about me, whatever. But in a general sense, like I have grown from that. Obviously I was a lot younger then. It was, like almost 5 years ago now.
Right.
I just want to go there. Like, let's talk about friendship breakups.
Yeah.
This is not really something, the sort of icky, heartbreaking side of friendship and relationships isn't something we've explored a lot on the show. But I had a friend that we were like 8-9 years deep in friendship, nearly a decade, who just kind of ghosted me.
Oh.
And it broke my heart for years. It took me years to get over it because I was like, I thought that like we were something
cool.
special. Yeah,
Sure.
I thought I was going to invite you to be a bridesmaid at my
Yeah.
wedding. Like you ghosted me and I don't understand why. Talk about the feeling of, it's kind of a roller coaster for your specific example. You had both this distance from these friends and then you also had this community coming.
Yeah.
So like what was the emotional experience of that?
The emotional experience was weird because I felt like I didn't know them deep enough yet to understand where our friendship was going to go. But then also at the same time, it's like you learn something new every day about someone. Like even if, you hang out with them once, twice, 5 times, a few years, there's people that I've been friends with for years that I find something about them 5 years down the line and I'm like, oh, wait, what? Like, where's this been the past 5 years, And it's been an interesting process because doing it obviously publicly is a lot different than just dealing with it yourself in your own home or whatever. So doing it publicly, there was a lot of opinions that came about that people were messaging me, hey, this happened to me. Hey, this is what happened. Oh, this is what I think about people that do that or whatever. Then that comes with the psychology behind it of you trying to figure out what you did to make them feel that way, or okay, how do I shift? Oh, do my other friends feel that way? So then I started literally going to each one of my friends and being like, hey, is there something that I do that you don't enjoy in our friendship or something? I was so what did I do to these people to feel that they needed to say that to somebody else or like talk about me or something like that? So I would go to my friends to this day. I think personally now it's helped me because I've really deeply been, I've been self-aware my entire life, terribly, but for the most part in my friendships, it's tragic. It's a blessing and a curse for sure. But in my friendships, I have been since then, my one thing that my friends are like, we can say anything to you and you can say anything to us. And like, I'm very blunt now. And like, I was blunt before, but like, I'm pretty like open of if I feel something's off, I'll literally immediately go to you and be like, hey, what's wrong? Like there's something off and you need to tell me what's going on. Like, so it's helped me in a lot of my future friendships and also deepening a lot of my current friendships. So
have any of your friends reciprocated that sort of action without you having to show them an example first? Are they initiating that conversation that's like, hey, there's something wrong between us, I'm going to go ahead and have that difficult conversation with you? Or do you think that you've been the one sort of setting that precedent in your friendships?
I think I set the bar first because a lot of people are nervous about like saying things that offend people or whatever. And I said before, I was like, I rarely get offended on a lot of terms. It depends what you're talking about, obviously. But in terms of friendships, I would rather you come to me and say, hey, this really bothers me, than you ghost me for no reason or feel the need that you couldn't say something to me. If that's a big thing for me, I would rather you feel like you can say anything to me and you be like, okay, we can get past this, then you feel like, oh my gosh, if I tell her, hey, I don't like that you're doing this, it's over. Like our friendship's over. So I think I started the open conversation of like, hey, you can tell me when something's wrong or hey, I don't like this the way that you did it. Even like people I don't really know, or if, I was going on, like I met someone for the first time or they said something that I didn't like, I'd be like, hey, I didn't really enjoy the way that you said that. Can we track back on that? Or like, hey, that was not like, okay. So I'm very open now, but I make it not like awkward, like not awkward. I'll just like continue the conversation with it. Hey, that was kind of messed up. You shouldn't say that anyway. And then I'll just keep going so that people don't feel like, oh my gosh, she just like, this is so awkward. I need to get out of here. It's like more like, hey, we addressed it and moved on. Like, so I think with my friendships, I try to make that a thing where I just like address it and we move on.
I think people think that's a special skill or that there's like a magic potion that you have to acquire or purchase or I don't know, somehow attain.
Yeah.
And what is your response? Like, how have you done that? Have you been that person?
It's an ego check, a hard ego check to have. And it's something that you have to be able to take critique on, like, and not feel like someone's pigeonholing you. Like if someone comes to me and was like, hey, I feel like, you've not really put an effort into our relationship in the last few months or whatever, I'll be like, wow, you're so right. Like, yeah, let me take a look at what I've done for this. I will make them feel heard, and you have to make someone feel heard. And if you don't, then that's like obviously your number one problem. But two, I think with a lot of the relationship aspects, people look at friendships like depending on what your relationship is with them, you have to kind of take a step back and look at how they mean to you and how you mean to them and what's the difference and bridge the gap. That's like the biggest thing for me. It's like when someone invites you to your wedding and you're like, to their wedding and you're like, why did you invite me to your wedding? Like, we're not really that close. Like, do they think we're that close? I wouldn't invite you to my wedding. And it's like, you kind of have to like see it as that, where you kind of see both sides. But the ego check thing is you really have to be able to understand where they're coming from without being like, are you calling me a bad friend?
Right.
Are you saying I'm a bad person? You can't do that. You got to open up and be like, okay, wait, whoa, why do you feel that way? What did I do that made you feel that way?
Something that we early on in the show kind of uncovered in our conversations was if we think about friendship through the lens of romantic relationships.
Oh, this is what I was thinking on the way here. I was like interested about talking about this. Yeah.
I don't know if it's because we're in an age where dating apps exist. And so there's kind of a lot of opportunity to say yes and no to things and to know that there are other opportunities. But when you really invest and like go through the hard shit with someone, that's when you come out closer and more connected and you know more about the person and feel a deeper sense of, okay, we're in this together and
get
we
that
both
good trauma bond going.
Yeah, or even like I was telling Elliot, I've had this desire to get people together in a regular capacity, but something about hosting a regular gathering has been holding me back. Like I don't want to commit to it.
I know.
And so I'm like, why do I feel that way? Why don't I want to commit? So I finally just said, okay, I'm going to invite 2 girls.
Okay.
I just want to have like a fun, like, let's giggle and kick our feet. And the only way that we can get to that point is if we deepen our friendship.
Yeah.
I'm going to invite these 2 girls. Let's hang out every other week.
Okay.
But when I sent the text, I was like, actually, I have butterflies. Like I'm basically saying, hey, I really like you.
Yeah.
I'd like you
Come
to
over, let's hang
commit
out.
to hanging out with me every other week.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that you also like me enough to say yes.
And also commit like to doing it multiple times in a row. Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it sort of like a time saver? Because could you be beating around the bush this whole time about, I hope that they like me as much as I like them. Maybe we'll hang out. Maybe we'll see each other every now and then. And you know, put that to the side and say like, hey, are you down to meet me every other week? And if they say no, can't you just move on? Don't you like right away realize, hey, maybe these aren't friends that I should invest in, which is not a big deal.
That's
You don't have to, it's not that you dislike them. It's like, okay, maybe you don't vibe the way I thought we did. I can move on and try and find some new friends. And that saves you a lot of time and probably them as well, right?
No, for sure.
Like
it's kind of like dating.
Yeah.
You know?
No, yeah. I mean, for sure. Part of the invitation was like, here are some things that I realized when it comes to hosting this gathering. It needs to be highly curated. It needs to be people that I want to invest in the relationship more than I want the opportunity to say yes to meeting strangers during that time. I'm inviting you to because I really admire you and I really like you and I'd like to hang out more. Is this something that you would be interested in committing to?
Yeah.
And it's totally fine if you can't.
They both said yes.
They both said yes, thank God. But I kind of would have been like a little bit hurt if they said no. So I'm basically curious about what has growing No More Lonely Friends and watching people become friends and meet people and making new friends yourself taught you about like what is friendship?
A big part of the big learning aspect that I've learned over just doing these meetups in general, or just the thought of it, that two really large things is, one, where you meet someone dictates the rest of your friendship. So if you like, say I meet someone in a club or a bar or something, we're going to go out together. We're going to hang out together. We're doing a lot of stuff together. That's like that. Maybe if we connect on a deeper level during that, sure. We'll maybe hang out during the day. We'll do whatever. We'll go on a trip together. But when I do my meetups in the park, like in Central Park or like in a big park, and what I try to do if I go to different states or whatever, different cities, I try to do them in these big parks, because when you meet someone outdoors in just a regular calm setting and you're just in the grass and just hang out, you could do anything with them. You can go on a walk with them. You can go to a bar with them. You can go on a trip with them. You could do anything where it's like the world is open to just that. And that's been really helpful, insightful for me, because I'm like, oh, where I meet someone is kind of dictating a lot into our friendship of where it's going to go from there. A lot of the aspect of friendship comes from how you met someone. In a terms of seeing other people meet, it has nothing to do with I mean, yes, obviously in the longer run, it's who you are as a person. But when you meet someone with no context on who they are, you didn't ask them questions pre-meetup or you didn't, whatever. You just go and sit down at a meetup. It's all about like, the show Love is Blind. Like it's kind of like that where it's like you're going into it blind. Obviously, you see what they look like, you see what they're wearing, whatever. But like you go into it being like, cool, we have nothing to know about each other yet, and we have everything to learn. And that's where I've kind of seen people thrive of like they're outside looking for friends as well. You're looking for friends, I'm looking for friends. Cool, like we have that in common. That's all we need in common to like make this friendship bloom. And I've really enjoyed seeing people just really thrive off of that because they're like, I'm here. I'm making my amends of getting outside and meeting other people. And it's taught me a lot about just like letting go of that ego of like, when you said we're in the world of dating apps. We're also in the world of friendship dating apps where you're swiping on people based off of how they look as a friend. Like you're not trying to date this one. You're not supposed to be, you can't be attractive for your friends, whatever. But like you're not basing it off of what they look like, what are they, and then like friendship dating apps can kind of harm that because it's like you're basing it off of their photos and like maybe a bio or something. And it's like when you meet someone in a park or in a bar or in a something that you don't know anything about them and you're just like, hey, you're here, I'm here, we're both looking for the same thing, let's be friends. Like that has really taught me to just like let go of a lot of qualms of like trying to meet people and like what they maybe look like or what they're doing or like anything like that. It just it threw it out the window and I'm just like, wow, I can meet anybody.
I'm hearing you say almost like a beginner's mindset.
Yeah.
Which is kind of, I think, maybe an artist or like meditation perspective. It's okay if you don't have anything in common.
Yeah.
You're both humans. You're both looking for friends.
Yeah.
We all crave to see and be seen in the world. That can be enough to spark connection.
Yeah.
And it's okay, like you were saying, Elliot, if those people say, no, actually, I don't want to hang out every other week, that doesn't mean that we can never be friends. That just means of all the different types of layers of friendship that exists, maybe they're not the centermost layer. And that's totally okay.
And also when you were saying the whole aspect of you needing to look at friendships as a romantic aspect, I'm so glad you said that because literally the entirety of the past, I don't know, like 5 days, I was like, I really want to talk about this because when you go to a first date, all you see is their photos or what they look like, right? Maybe a bio, maybe a small this, that, and the other. Oh, I drink socially. Oh, I don't want kids, whatever it is. But when you go into a friendship, people don't treat it as dating. And it's like, that's the problem is like, you literally need to. And it's okay if after a few hangouts or whatever, it doesn't work out. But same with dating. It's like, hey, like we didn't really work out. I'm sorry. Or you could ghost them if you're that type of person. But with friendship, you really have to go into it and be like, okay, cool. We don't know anything about each other. Like, let's see if this works as a friend. But it's even better because you don't have to see them romantically or like, oh, do I see a future with this person and my children? Do I enjoy their company? Are they cool? But that's the biggest thing is people don't treat friendships anymore like dating, like when they need to.
Why do you think they don't?
Because I think people are looking for social media has kind of skewed a lot of that too, where they're looking for like the ultimate friendships. We're going to be diehard BFFs. Like I need this person to be my soulmate. And like, everyone craves that. That's totally fine. But you're also allowed to have the people that are just like normal friends in your life. But I think most people are just searching for that like soul friend, which is like everyone does. I do.
It's like the new Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
'Cause essentially, it's like I have this expectation based on all this information that I'm ingesting, right? There's like this picture perfect friend who they go on the perfect dates together. They have the perfect friendship because I'm seeing it on the internet. So it's like a comparison trap, which is weird that I've never really thought about that. I don't know if are you guilty of that, do you think?
100%.
Really?
I look at, I mean, I travel all the time and my dream, like I was just in Brazil and I was like, wow, like there was like this group of friends that were traveling together and they were making all these fun videos. And I was like, if I had a travel friend group, like, wow, I don't have that like friend group. I'm the joiner. I'm the connector. So like I have a ton of like individualistic friends. I don't have a friend group. It turns to me where I see all these like me and my girlfriends all went to Greece together. We were like college friends or like, oh, we are neighbors or like we live in the same apartment or like whatever. And I'm like, oh, like I wish I had that. But I don't have like a friend group. I have like all my little individual friends. And then I'm like, everyone come together in this one place. And it's like, fine, like everyone gets along, but it's like, we're not a friend group together. You know what I mean? So it's interesting.
Do you feel like an outsider sometimes?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So everyone on the internet, someone with 500,000 followers on TikTok can like also, someone who creates something called No More Lonely Friends can also still feel lonely.
Absolutely.
After putting on all these events, you've got thousands of people together. You have all these conversations. You've been on the Drew Barrymore show, but like you still have the potential to feel that way.
Yeah.
sometimes.
A lot of people ask do I still feel lonely? And I think loneliness is an aspect that one, everybody feels. If you say you've never felt it, you're lying. And that's the one thing. Loneliness is such a broad umbrella of things where you can feel loneliness in your friendship, in your life, in your job, in your relationships, in just life. And a lot of people relate it to, oh, moving to a new city, you don't have friends, or like, oh, you don't really have that close of XYZ or family or whatever it is. But loneliness comes in so many different forms. You see someone hanging out and then you're like, oh, like I don't have, whatever it is. But in a personal, my own journey, there's that aspect where I'm like, wow, I don't have that. I used to when I was a kid, like I had a friend group, and then like once I moved or whatever, like I just lost that friend group aspect. And a lot of people now, I feel like, oh, it's like, oh, we all went to college together, or like, oh, we all did this together and we moved together, or like whatever. And I'm like, wow, like that's so interesting. And yeah, I feel lonely in that aspect as well. Or I travel a lot and I always get scared. I've lost a lot of friendships of people being like, well, you're never here. And I'm like, okay, I have a lot of my close friends that are like, yeah, we know you're going to come back. Like, we'll be here when you come back, like whatever. But then there are those people that are like, okay, well, bye.
Do you think that there's like two attachment styles? Like, I can see both sides is kind of what I'm trying to say. So do you maybe at first get offended that they are willing to forego the friendship, but then also maybe realize the way that they attach to humans that are like romantic and non-romantic is like they have to be in proximity
around
and they
each
just
other
can't
all the time.
They just can't, like some people can do a long distance relationship and some people can't. Do you think that maybe it has anything to do with that? Have you sort of been willing to forgive those types of people, or is it still hurt either way?
I think it will hurt either way, just because I'm human. But I think the biggest thing for me is there can be a lot of friendships that are, I hate the word jealous, but like there's a jealousy aspect of certain friendships where like I look at some of my friendships and like that have failed or something, and I'm like, why did that fail, or like what failed about it? And there's either I've been in positions where I've had friendships that I looked at their jobs and I was like, wow, that's so cool, before I did all of this, and I was like, oh, like I wish I could do that. And it came of like a it's like when you're in a relationship with someone, or you're like looking at someone and you're like, do I want to be them or do I want to be with them? Like, you know what I mean? And you're like, what's the vibe? I think there's a lot of that in friendships. And I think that where, especially I live in New York City, you're paying a lot of rent, you're spending a lot of money. Not a lot of people have a lot of money. And it gets to a point where you're like, what am I doing with my life? A lot of people get upset by their friends that are either making more money than them, or they have better friends than them, or whatever it is. Yeah. And I've been in positions where like I see some of my friends and I'm like, oh, you have a great friend group. Like, and I almost get envious, and I get like that deep, like kind of rage. And I'm like, oh no, like that's crazy. Like I got to step back and like see why that's making me feel that way. But I think that a lot of it comes from that kind of like inner rage of like, they have something that I don't have. And it makes the friendship fail. And
it's totally exacerbated by the internet, right? By social media. Yeah. Because like you see what kind of like, I don't know, following they have, or influence they have, or friends they have around them.
Yeah. Or like they're posting, oh, I'm with my friends, and then you're home alone and you're like on a Friday night and you're like, oh, well, they're out with their friends. They didn't invite me. Or like, oh, they're doing this. Like they got invited on this trip, or like, oh, they're out with their group, and you're not there. And then it's that, why didn't she want me there? Why didn't he want me there? Like, what's the, so it kind of snowballs into like a deeper, darker type of mindset for sure.
We have a listener question that's sort of touching on this question about proximity. Like, okay, I have friends that I'm actually not able to maintain because I travel so much. So let me play it for you.
Oh, is it a voicemail?
Yeah.
Oh, dope.
Sick.
Hi, Sam and Elliot. My question for Marissa is, what is the hardest part about maintaining friendships for you? And do you have any tips to maintain friendships?
I'll just specifically color this through the lens of proximity, like being in the physical space with or without these people.
Okay, so I think the biggest thing about me, especially because I travel and stuff like that. So when I'm home, I like make that time very apparent. Like I'm home. Like the other day I was home for maybe 12 hours. I texted one of my friends. I said, we're getting dinner. Like we're getting dinner. I'm seeing you before my next flight. And they were like, whoa, like, are you sure you don't want to take a nap? I'm like, no, we're getting dinner. And it's kind of making, I went out to drinks the other day with one of my friends, and I just sat there and I was like, hey, this is like so random, but I just want to let you know, like, I have never once questioned our friendship. And like, that makes me feel insane. Like that I've never had to once question who I was to you. And that like just reminding people of who they are to you, and like, hey, one day you're going to be my bridesmaid. Like, hey, I really hope that you know, if you ever need something, you come to me. Like, I remind people constantly. And what I was saying before was like, if there's something wrong, you need to come to me and tell me that something's wrong, you know, and keeping that. I think quality time for me is a big thing, especially because I'm just so like, I love having a little like friend there. If I'm I work from home. I'm like, come over and work in my house, like hang out. Like, we don't have to talk, but like, it's nice to have someone there. And, you know, I think really reminding your friends of who they are to you and what they mean to you is really big, because in a relationship with a partner, you're like, I love you so much. You're so beautiful. You're amazing, blah, blah, blah. But people forget to do that to their friends. And like, you know, I think really reminding people of why they're in your life. Hey, I really enjoy the way you check in on me every now and then. Hey, I really, let's plan a trip, just us next trip, or like whatever it is. I think the reminding factor of like why you love each other and why you're in their life is really apparent in keeping that friendship going of why that is. When it turns to hanging out, I think really taking both of your interests into consideration. But hanging out with someone, maybe be like, hey, what's something that you haven't done in a while that you really want to do? Hey, we should go take an art class together. Hey, we should do a new experience together, that we have this thing. Hey, when you said you want to meet up every 2 weeks, hey, let's go do a pottery class every 2 weeks and like get that going. I think it's a nonstop of trying to like build your friendship into something bigger, because when you're in a relationship, you're going on dates, you're learning more about each other, you're kind of accelerating who you are to each other. And that needs to go for friendships as well.
A two-parter. Do you think it seems like a lack of education at the end of the day to me? I'm like, why don't we get taught how to socialize in school?
Agreed.
Like, why don't we get taught how to maintain friendships in school? It might sound insane, but that's because that's probably a bad thing that it sounds insane. That of course we should be taught that. We should practice that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Could you elaborate on that? Have you ever thought about, if I was in charge of creating a curriculum, what kind of education would I provide to like children to learn how to treat one another and how to grow up and maintain that sort of affect, so that you could have friends and be cool and receive that coolness and kindness in return, you know?
Yeah, I think a lot starts with, sadly enough, like the parental aspect. Obviously, you get a lot of your just characteristics from your parents. So like if you see your parents doing certain things, you're obviously going to pick up on it. But a lot of the things that I fear a lot of parents don't show is like their social aspects. When parents, you know, are hanging out with friends, they go out. So you don't see parents like conversing a lot or like talking a lot or whatever it is. So they like go out for the night and have a babysitter, right? And then the babysitter talks to them like a child. But when it comes to growing up, I think that a lot of it has to do with, you know, I've seen the stuff of like talking to kids like they're adults, but like obviously in moderation. But I think in terms of like talking to people like they're people, like children like they're people, and not being like, no, it's okay. You know, it's like you need to teach them from a young age, obviously, that it's like a certain way. But even when you're homeschooled, I've met my homeschooled friends that are more socialized than normal public schoolers, you know, and I have a few friends that they do social media as well, but their kid is homeschooled, and they were like, all their comments are, oh, aren't you worried that they're, you know, she's not going to be well socialized or whatever? And she's like, she meets people from all around the world and learns the way that they talk to each other and meets these kids or meets adults or whatever, and they talk to her like she's a normal person and a human and everything like that, which is like so great. But she's so well socialized, and she talks like I'm like talking to her like she's my 20-something-year-old BFF, and I'm like, this is crazy, like this is awesome. But it comes to terms of when you think and sit down about trying to, social media has a really, really big play in this, because there's like those videos, it's like, oh, you know, my friend did me wrong, like I'm cutting her off, like, oh, I'm gonna go slash her tires. It's like, whoa, like what the, like, whoa, like, you know, like relax, take it back a second, relax. But it's kind of like that over exaggeration of like kind of romanticizing what real friendships are now. And it's not like real friendships. Like I was saying, I get really upset that like, oh, I didn't get, you know, invited on the friend group trip. It's like, that's not all friendship is. And that's not, you know, it's like, you don't see me going to dinner with my friends every whatever night. Like I don't post everything, or like I don't talk about everything that I do. And I think that coming down to the boiling point of really investing into the small talk of like really getting deeply into that. Not a lot of people now want to talk about like, there's a difference between stuff you should tell your therapist versus like your best friend, sure. But I think really deep diving into talking about if your friend is clearly going through something, or maybe you don't know and you're like, hey, can you tell me what's going on? I want to listen. We're taught kind of how to just give the bare minimum. Like when you go to school every day, right? You're like seeing people and it's like you're socializing, and I was a really well socialized kid, but I was socializing in between so many friend groups that I lacked the like one friend group. Like I think there's a lack of like me realizing that like spending time on one friend group was better than talking to every single person in the freaking world, which like I'm just a yapper, so from a young age I knew who I was.
Same.
But like I think for that it's like you kind of, I have like a hard empathetic path where I want to talk to everyone and make sure everyone's included, but I also lacked that sitting and making sure that I made that core one group that was like there. And in school and stuff I had that, like that was like what I was really good at, but it was more of like me just spreading it thin. And I think that everyone, when it comes to schooling and just growing up and stuff, you kind of just learn to socialize and not how to like really lock in on like, hey, these are your really good friends and you need to like stand by them and stick by those people and really just ride or die for them until, they tell you otherwise, I guess. But it's hard to keep those friendships from elementary adolescence to all the way when you're adult, because you change so much, right? So I think the growing aspect of things is like you talking to your friends through the growing periods and being like, hey, this isn't working for me, or this is working for me. Nobody knows how to do that anymore. I feel like everyone, once there's like a growing period, it's like, well, they've moved on with their life, bye. Like you need to like sit down and be like, hey, this new relationship that you're in, it's kind of like messing up our friendship because you're doing XYZ, or like, but I think people don't tell their feelings anymore of like really deep diving. If you're going to tell your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whatever partner, then you need to like also tell your friends that way.
Yeah, heard. I have two thoughts. One is this idea of socializing as kids. Do you have siblings?
Yes, too.
Okay, interesting. Only children get shit on a lot. I am an only child, so I fully accept it. But I think one of the things that only children have the advantage of is I didn't talk to other kids as often as I talked to adults, because I didn't have other kids to talk to. On family vacations, I'm talking to my parents and I'm talking to the adults. So as a 7-year-old, I'm talking like an adult. And I don't struggle with social anxiety the way that maybe you do, Elliot. And I'm curious about, I've never thought about it this way, if that could be one of the reasons, is just sort of being regularly in conversation with adults who know how to navigate the flow. So I had that kind of demonstration. My other thought is I'm hearing you say you have to be an active participant and in the driver's seat of your friendships, in the same way that when we talk about, oh, my first date was really shitty, he didn't ask me enough questions, or they didn't care about what I wanted, or they didn't plan, they didn't show me that they were interested. Okay, well, to have a really great friendship, we also need to tell them how much you mean to me. Hey, I'd like to see you. Hey, here is how I'm investing time and energy into this relationship. And that's kind of gotten lost in translation.
I think there's a lot of pride involved because, and I've been there, it's like you think all those things. And so you're like, okay, well, I'm going to do them. I'm going to be a good example. I'm going to do them. But as soon as that one friend doesn't reciprocate over and over, then you start to build resentment because you're like, well, I'm doing it. Why aren't they? And it's like, okay, well, first of all, that's pride a little bit. Like you need to be willing to have that conversation. You have to just be willing to have that conversation. Like if there's a new friendship, your code of conduct in your life is for all of these new friends that you make, you're going to have, it's not even awkward because you're just starting now. You don't have to wait till shit hits the fan right away. You say like, this is sort of the communication that I expect us to have, and here's why. And are you cool with that essentially? Like that's all you have to do is have that conversation. But we don't, because I think because we're prideful, because I'm prideful. I've thought about that. It's like, well, I put in the work, but why don't they ever call me? And partly it's because subconsciously the pattern now in your relationship is that you're going to hit them up. So they wait for you to hit them up because like that's what it's always been. And that's kind of on you for setting it up that way and assuming that they'll reciprocate. Like you have to tell them. And so it's like swallow your pride and have the conversation so that you can have a great friendship. Period. You know?
I think a lot on my part where I was saying I'm a pretty blunt person. In my friendships, my close friendships. I mean some of my like regular like normal level friendships as well. If you ask them like what's the one thing about me, they're like, oh, I'll be like, oh, what's the one thing about me? And they'll be like, yeah, well, I could say anything to you and you could say anything to me and it's like fine. But they're like, in a lot of my other friendships, that's not really how it is. But like to you, like me, Marissa, they're like, we can really say anything to you. And I pride myself in that because I enjoy having the fact that my friends can say like, hey, you were being kind of a dick today, you know, or something like that, where like they can say it to me and I'm okay with saying it back. With the long distance friendships or like even because I'm not around or something like that, you know, I pride in a lot of like, I'll FaceTime you randomly or talk to you or text you, hey, what's up? Hey, love you, miss you, hey. And I don't really like need a whole, you know, whatever, but like I FaceTime a lot of my friends like from around the world and like, hey, I have 5 minutes. Hey, I have 10 minutes. Hey, I have literally 1 minute. I just want to say hello. I think that's a really big deal when it comes to keeping my friendships maintained because they're somewhere else in the world, or even if I'm home and they're in California or Texas or wherever it is, I'm FaceTiming people being like, hey, really quick, just want to say hi before you go into work. Okay, love you, bye. But if, you know, I try to get in contact with one of my friends and they're not responding for days or something on end, and I'm like, hey, you might be busy, but like I just wanted to pop in and say hi, like give me 5 minutes of your time, like you know. And if they don't over time, or like if I feel like they're kind of just like letting that go, I'll be like, hey, like why, like this is like, what do you know, like this is, I hate to say rude because like you have your own life, but like I'm kind of like, hey, I'm trying to like say hello and check in on you or something, like trying to keep that in check of like our friendship of like, hey, I'm trying here. And I need you to at least be like, text me back. I know you see the text. Call, sure, like you don't have to call me back, but just being like, hey, I'm super busy. Sorry, love you so much. Like, bye, whatever. So like a lot of my friends now, they'll be like, hey, can't talk, or like, hey, something, blah, blah, blah. Love you so much. Thanks for checking in. So now that's like the like expectation of, I put that on them if I call them and they can't answer, or like if I text them a few times and they're busy or something like that, they'll be like, hey, I'm at work or something, like this, that. But I set that bar that like, hey, I'm trying to contact you, like, please contact me back kind of vibe, like where I just want to check in on you and make sure like we're good or like whatever. But
Yeah.
there's certain times where, you know, obviously people are busy at different times or whatever, that they have to just like, I have to accept that. I just have different scheduling of them, or I'm in a way different time zone or something like that, where like I have to keep myself in check of like not being like, why aren't you answering my calls? You know, like something like that. But I also always check in on people to make sure that they feel like, hey, I'm still there, you know?
What's your primary vehicle of doing that? Is it calls? Texts? FaceTimes?
I'll text like if I'm like super, super, super busy, but like for the most part, I'll FaceTime.
Do you ever voice memo?
Yeah, I love a good voice. I love a good voice. Voice memoing though is usually like if I'm telling stories, or like if I'm telling something that happened, or like if we're like randomly, if I'm driving or something. But like for the most part, it's like I would say FaceTimes is my first level of contact. I'll just FaceTime my close friends like out of like nowhere.
This may sound like mansplaining, or that I'm offering you advice that you didn't ask
I
for,
wouldn't.
and so maybe we won't have this on the show. Have you ever thought about?
Elliot's like, cut this.
Well, no, I just have so many ideas because you are in such a cool position. Like you have a following that's fucking cool. Like you have such a unique story. I know you've told a million times, but it's crazy how unique your story is. It probably will never happen again, or maybe it will. I don't know, but it feels like it won't ever happen again. Anyway, what I'm trying to get at is that it seems like we keep coming back to the same conversation about how to maintain friendships, and if we boil it down to like super simple terms or problems and solutions, it's like it's education, and it's just a matter of having these conversations. Have you ever thought about? Well, first of all, that could be something that you talk about on a podcast if you were to start one. Second of all, have you ever, I don't really know the ins and outs or the very specifics about these meetups. Like, I don't know if you guys are having any prompted or scripted conversations or opportunities, or if it's really just hanging out the entire time. But have you ever thought about making No Lonely Friends, No More Lonely Friends, or this thing that you're talking about, having like a brick and mortar, some sort of like education, like, or game or something where people can learn this? Like, I think people seriously need someone to tell them, someone that they trust, like you. This is how you maintain friendships. Like if you're here, first of all, like admitting it is the hardest part. And then here's some very simple tips to maintain, to create, to cultivate these friendships. And it's really about like swallowing your pride, being vulnerable, and having very upfront and honest conversations. And those are actually like pretty fucking easy to do. But like, how do we get people to do that? And that's kind of what we're trying to do with the events that we've been putting on. And I'm just wondering, do you feel this sense of like, now that you've built this thing and you've done it all over these, you know, all over the world, essentially, do you feel like there's another sort of like occasion that you have to rise to? Like you've been here, but now you're like, okay, I need to do something else instead of just meeting. Like, how can I educate these people to actually keep these friendships that they make going?
Yeah, I would love, like, I really love talking, but I love speaking at, conferences where people are willingly there to learn about things. I think when it comes with the ego pride thing, where if I was to be like, hey, come to this, workshop on like how to meet friends, how to make friends, how to talk to people, yada, yada, the people would have to really swallow their pride to like show up and be like, I'm here to like learn how to make friends. So like, I think a lot of that has to do with the pride ego factor of like, you're there to like learn that. And I think when it comes to the panels that I've spoken on, or like the conferences that I've spoken on, or the public speaking things that I've done and been booked for, like I am there because those people are there to learn and they're already there. Like they are there to get that going. And maybe the other people that I've talked at those things are also. So I think I would love to do something like that, where like I do like if it's 1 day or 3 days or whatever it is, that I would love to go do a thing where multiple people are speaking about different things, whether it's friendship, maintaining friendship, or even just talking to people, or how to talk to people, or psychology stuff, or like whatever it is, but really just boiling down to like, this is how, like almost reteaching people, like relearning how to get out there and like talk. After COVID, dude, like no one knew how to talk to each other. I was even like, I don't want to go outside. Like I don't want to talk to people. I don't want to meet new people. Like that's terrible. I was
That's
like,
real.
oh my God, it was terrible. But I think that coming from the psychology point where you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't have to talk to people for 2 years. Now I have to like go out and actually meet new people and like talk to them. That's terrible. So the fact that when we did the No More Lonely Friends meet up in a park, almost the first one was like a few weeks after the mask mandate went away, which was like, like what, and then everyone was like, this is the first time I've been outside in like 2 years.
Perfect
And I'm
timing.
like, this is great. But everyone was like sitting around in circles like, ha, what do we talk about? So I gave people like prompts or gave people like, or I would just go to each circle of people and be like, hey, and try to like break that ice for people, because people did not know how to speak to each other. And it was so awkward of like, hey, what do we do? Or what do we talk about? But then also it was like the other side of it was like, we haven't spoken to anyone in 2 years. So I could tell everyone everything right now. Like I could talk about everything. So it was kind of like a mix. So it was nice because then there was the mix of people who really did want to talk to people. And then the other ones that were like, I don't know what to say. So it was kind of like a nice middle ground.
Oh,
I'm wondering,
that's interesting.
really quick, I wonder if we could go even deeper. Do you have a story? Because I think what I'm realizing is that there are certain people that are watching content like this. They're like, okay, you're giving me all these theories about how to meet people, how to make small talk, but like, how the fuck did you do it? Like, how do you do it? So my question is, you were saying on your website, it says there's about a 50-50 split. So for those listening, half the people that show up to your events are coming alone and half are coming with people. With the people that are coming alone, they're really sticking their neck out. Is there a specific thing that you're doing right when they show up that you're making sure that you, I don't know, almost, devote a little more energy to them and care to them, because they're really going out of their way to come there on their own? That's really difficult for people to do. And I think people want to go to something, but they're worried about what they're going to say or how they're going to act or how they're going to respond. And so they don't. And if you can sort of break that ice or break that barrier right there, then they're good. They're good to go. Like, do you have a specific thing that you do for those people?
So I host every single meetup. I'm there personally at every single one. I do that because I just know how to like kind of interject those things. So when you come in the door, I always like, hey, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. If it's a person that obviously has been there before, I'm like, you go off, do your thing. But if it's someone that hasn't been there before, I'll be like, my name's Marissa, nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. Either they sometimes know me. Now they're like, oh my gosh, like you're okay, cool. Like sometimes they don't know me now. And I'm like, that's awesome that it's transcended past just like me, right?
Yeah.
So that's amazing. I'll always be like, I'm a really good facial recognition, so I know if you've been there or not. And I know if you knew. So when we talk, I'll be like, how did you hear about this? And then when they go down that rabbit hole, I'll kind of branch into how did you hear about it? And then I'll go off based off of, you said, how did you hear about it? So if it's through a friend, I'm like, okay, has your friend been here before? Has your friend talked about this? Has your friend whatever? If it's through, oh, I saw it on social media. Okay, cool. Like, were you looking it up? Or did it come to you through someone else posting it or something like that? So it's kind of like I have to mentally go through a really big like turning process at one standing point of you standing in front of me and kind of like see through what you're looking for. So then I kind of take what you're looking for and I ask like, like, oh, like, are you just here for vibe? Like, what's the vibe? Or like, whatever. Sometimes I ask that, sometimes I don't, if I know they're really nervous or something. And I'll immediately go through the process of trying to figure out what you're looking for. And then I'll take you, based on what type of meetup it is, I'll take you to a group and be like, hey, this is Michaela. Like, this is her first time here. Like, yeah.
That's
so
dope.
like, then this is Michael, this is Jason, like, this is Ashley. Like, and I'll just go through and then I'll be like, take a seat. I'll sit with them for 2 to 5 minutes, whatever. see if they're vibing, see if they're not. And then if not, I'll be like, cool, like let's go to another, and like I'll just guide them through that and then make sure they're comfortable and like whatever. And if not, I always go to them. If you have a problem or if you need help with something else, just come right to me and I'll help you out. So it's kind of like me going through the process of like almost like a preschool where it's like, here's your new friend. Here you go, like blah blah blah. And I always tell people every single time they come in, and the people that like go a lot obviously know this, but the people that don't, I'll be like, if you're not feeling it, be like, hey, I'm just gonna go check out another group and meet some new people. Or like, hey, I'm here to meet a lot of people. Like, I'm just gonna go like blah blah blah, and no one gets offended because they're like here to meet people.
Yeah.
Do you tell everyone that?
Yeah.
Do you see that? Again, it comes down to like direction. It's like if
but you have to be told that.
You're right.
Yeah.
If you're the host, you have a duty to sort of set the rules and set the the code of conduct, so to speak. And to give people permission. Essentially, it's like if you're not vibing, it's totally cool to get up. No one's even gonna know that you're not vibing. Just get up and go hang out. And even if you are vibing, you're probably going to get up and go want to introduce yourself to other people anyway. But saying that is a different story.
I always try to tell people, like, even if you're vibing with the group and you just want to meet more people, just be like, hey, like, I think I like they look like XYZ, they look like having fun, whatever. Oh, I'm just going to chill with them for a little bit. I'll be right back. And like, even if you don't come back in an hour, 2 hours, whatever it is, like whatever, but you already met those people and you can talk. And like, if you come to another event, they're going to be there. Or like, hey, can I get your contact info? Show that you're interested. Hey, are you guys like hanging out after this? What are you guys doing after this? Kind of like, I always try to ask like multiple questions on certain parts for people to understand like what they're looking for in the beginning. But also after that, I'm like, don't be afraid to get up and try to talk to multiple groups of people, because then you can also branch out and like date around friends almost. Like if you're trying to just find who vibes the most with you at that specific meetups. And also the one thing I really have to say is that say you come to a meetup and you're like, oh, I don't know if this was for me, blah, blah, blah. Try one more and see if it, because maybe the people there that day weren't, or maybe you sat with one group the entire time and you felt weird to get up and go to another one. So maybe another one, go to a different group or whatever it is that you just need to like shop around.
Okay, hold on. Marissa, you have hundreds of people coming to these events.
Yeah.
Even when we have 50 people come to an event,
I was Elliot
and I are like, hi, hello, okay, you go to this table. Hello, it's so great to meet you. Like, I'm Sam, it's nice to meet you. And get kind of overwhelmed trying to give everybody that attention. How do you do that? Like logistically, these are a lot of people.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, whenever they're walking in, I'll have like a stopping point. So I'll have a table with name tags or like stickers or something that's a stopping point at the very beginning. If multiple people coming in at once, I'll be like, hey everyone, really quickly, like, grab a name tag, blah, 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 like, welcome, thanks so much. If they're returning or whatever, I'll be like, cool, you can go, whatever, thanks so much, go talk to people. But if they're new or whatever, I'll be like, hey, so this is the vibe, like we're doing this today. If I'll say I have like a game night, right? I'll be like, yeah, it's game night. Like there's a bunch of different games and different tables. Like feel free to get up, move to different tables, try different games, meet new people. If you need something, please contact me. And then I'll go down and they're filling out the name tag and I'll be like, oh, Jason, so nice to meet you, Jason. Like, what's going on? And I'll kind of have them almost like form a line of like, they're here anyway, they're waiting anyway. So I'll make them form a line and I'll give them that extra 30 seconds that they're like, oh, cool, she's really taking the time to like notice that I'm here. I won't have them pass by. I'll be like, wait a minute, come in line, grab a name tag. And it's kind of giving that one, I see their name, I see who they are. Jason, okay, cool, Jason. Now I know who you are. I know what your name is. And then I can correlate one name to face, but then also it's easier for name tags. Do you guys do name tags or no?
Yes, we do.
Sometimes.
Okay.
Our latest one, yes.
Okay, so I would always do name tags because one, it's easy for when you're really nervous and you're trying to meet new people, you don't forget their name, or if you do forget their name, you don't feel bad about it. And you're like, cool, Jason. Okay, good, got it. But it also correlates name to faces faster, and it makes you feel connected because you know their name and you're not thinking the entire time they're talking to you, oh my God, what's their name? I can't remember their name. I'm not even listening to what you're saying. So it's kind of like a vibe of like that, but giving them the extra 30 seconds to a minute at the very front of like, hey, why are you here? How'd you learn about us? Like, oh, what are you looking for? Like, what'd you do today? Like, oh, where do you live? Like, where'd you come from? Oh, cool. Oh, I live in that area too. It's kind of giving them that like, oh, I know this person at least. So when I go in there, if I feel weird, like I can talk to this person at least. So it gives them that like extra security of making them feel like you are paying attention to them, but you are giving them that extra like security of like, oh, this person knows me now. And I feel comfortable because if everyone's this easy to talk to, like, cool, like I'm good, So it kind of boils down to like a little squiggle on the beginning of their essay of like, that's why they're so comfortable with being here.
Mm-hmm.
They think, oh, okay, cool. Like I'm interested to somebody. Like let me talk to them and think of that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's always about making people feel comfortable, first of all. But
Mhm.
second of all, just really taking a second to breathe so that okay, I'm here. I made it here. Okay, I'm filling in a name tag. Okay, so what now? Like, I'm just gonna walk into this room of random ass people. Like, and then when the other people behind them, if they're like, oh, I don't know where to go, I'll be like, hey, wait here right for 2 minutes while I help him out, and then I'll bring him in. Be like, yo, everyone, this is Jason. Like,
Yeah.
what's up, Jason? And then I'll bring him to a person that's been here before, or maybe like
Hmm.
someone that I know is like really comfortable in their surroundings, and I'll be
Mhm.
like, hey, this is Dustin. Like, Dustin's been to like 20 of these. Like, Dustin, like, show him around. Let's see what, like, so kind of just making them feel like you cared that they came, and because you do, like, you're like, thank
Yeah.
God for you came, and I'm like so thankful that they come to all these. So I'm like making them really bridge that gap between like, they made it here. What now?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm curious about that's like from a hosting perspective,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
As a result of hosting,
Mhm.
I have changed the way that I attend events.
Yeah.
And we had an experience where we were just going to an event as attendees, and the seating got a little bit messed up. You can
Okay.
never predict what people are going
yeah.
to do. So groups started forming, and then they moved chairs, and then the availability of chairs changed. So I noticed someone sitting by themselves,
Mhm.
and I could tell that she felt a little bit awkward. And I just knew that feeling of going up to a group and saying, hey guys,
Yeah.
like, can I join
Yeah.
your group? It's so uncomfortable. So instead of being like, well, you came to an event by yourself, like that's on you to do,
Yeah.
I just went up to her and said, hey, we're getting an extra chair. You can come join our group. How do
That was
you,
amazing.
like, how do you recommend people approach events as attendees? And like, what is
Yeah.
our responsibility as just humans
Yeah.
trying to make connection out in the world?
Depending on the event that you go to, obviously if it's like a friendship making thing or like something where you're going out of your way to meet people, you really have to put in the back of your mind, all of these people are here to meet people.
Mhm.
And you really have to like push every other intrusive thought away because you're like, everyone here is trying to meet someone. So I am here to meet someone. Like that is why we are here. And you kind of
Mhm.
have to just like really shut your brain off and just be like, okay, I'm going in on it. Hey, I'm Marissa. Nice to meet you. And you just jump the gun. Like that is the biggest. Even saying something like, oh, I'm new in town. If you're not new in town, just be like, hey, I heard about this on Instagram. Where'd you hear about this? Oh, how did
Mhm.
you come across this? Oh, like a mutual friend told me like she's been to one of these before. It's kind of starting that thing. My biggest life hack: compliment someone on something. Hey, I really like your hat. Hey, I really like your piercing. And they're like, oh my God, thank you. And then why did you choose to get that piercing? Oh, where'd you get your shirt? Oh, I got it here. Oh, I love shopping there. Boom. Instant like mind cloud away.
Yeah.
Instant easeability of interesting into a conversation of if you really like that, obviously that thing or that whatever they're wearing or whatever it is, it's easier obviously because then you can go into it and talk about it. But
Mhm.
it's a really big, oh, they're cool. Okay, awesome.
Mhm.
But as an attendee, it's about that pushing aside your thoughts of like, oh my God, everyone knows I'm here alone. No, it's
Mhm.
just like go in there and like I was telling a friend earlier, I forget sometimes that I have +1 places and now I'll just show up alone and be like, wait, oh, I forgot I had a +1. And then I'll just like go into it and be like, hey, you're here, I'm here, like we're here at the same event. Cool. Like what about it? And it's kind of like the more you do it, the more you have dinner by yourself, the
Mhm.
less weird it becomes.
Yeah.
That's the same thing with the events. The more you go to by yourself, it's like the less weird it becomes of like, you're like, why am I here alone?
I think some people watching are like, dude, this Marissa's just go with the flow, man. She's so chill. Like, how do I
So
embody
charismatic.
that? Do you think it is just like a matter of practice, or do you think it's also maybe genetic? Like, is it something that you just sort of like the confidence that you exude? Because it seems like yes, you might run into an awkward conversation or an awkward encounter with a potential friend, but you're like, it's no water. It's no sweat off my back.
Mhm.
Like I'll just move on. Is that something that can be learned, or are people just fucked?
I think exposure therapy is important, very important. And I put the T hard important is because I have been a very like confident child. I was a very confident child. Like I was always making friends, always talking to people. Like I was the kid that had on my report card, like, will not shut the fuck up in class. And I was like, yeah, okay.
Same.
But I think for mostly, I was kind of like even as an adult, like I moved a lot of places by myself. I moved to New York by myself. Like I moved to Alabama by myself. Like I did all these things where like I was literally just by myself. And it taught me, it's exposure therapy. Like it taught me how to do these things by myself. I started traveling alone. I did backpacking trips by myself. I had to eat dinner by myself. I had to go places by myself. I had to meet people around, talk to people on the street. During COVID, I lived in New York and I just moved back to New York. And I literally was like, no one will speak to me. No one will come in 15 feet away. That's social distancing. They did not take that as a joke in New York. Like I would go to a bar just to like try to see humans and be like, hey, like you're alone. Like, do you want to chat? And they'd be like, literally no, sit 3 feet away from me. And I was like, okay. Like, and it was like literal exposure therapy where I was like, I will never make friends. Great. And so it turned into me just trying and failing. And like there'll be a lot of people that are like, literally no, get away from me. And you're like, okay, great.
Yeah.
But I think the more I just did things without the thought of like, oh my God, this could turn out terribly, I would go in and be like, this could turn out terribly, but like, oh well. But I think most of it, yes, I was confident in like, but that was like in a place, I was confident in a place that I grew up in, or like I knew these people, or it was at school or something like that. I was very sociable. But when it turns into you moving to a place by yourself, that's a completely different ballgame. You don't know that environment. You don't know the people around you. Like you have to literally talk to people. And that's where like me complimenting random people came into play. That's me just meeting random people came into play. I would try out new places every day. I would go to different coffee shop, whatever it was, that I would try to just, hey, like, how are you kind of vibes. And I would say 90% of it was learned, because over the last 3 years of my life, 2 years of my life, I've like completely shifted into a different person. And even like dating around or like whatever, you learn what you like and you don't like, or like what your people are or not people are. And you just kind of get into that. I would say now I'm a very, very confident person, but also I learned what worked for me and what didn't, what friendships worked for me, what didn't. I read through people a lot because of just like my background and stuff. And like also my self-awareness is a lot higher than it was, or like even if I was self-aware then, I'm way more self-conscious now. So I think a lot of it's learned in terms of exposure therapy. That's my favorite way of doing things. A lot of people message me about traveling solo, and I'm like, you will learn more in a month of traveling solo by yourself than in 10 years of your life, because you have to do so many things alone. You're in a foreign country. Maybe you don't speak the language or whatever it is. You're eating by yourself every day, or maybe you meet someone at a hotel, a hostel, whatever it is. Yeah. And you just put yourself in positions that you've literally never been in before. And then you learn so much about yourself quickly, or you just learn how to do things, and you just take that confidence and you bring it back wherever you're home. And you're like, I could do this shit now. Like, this is awesome.
What on your confidence journey and sort of this like emotional intelligence that you're talking about, what have you learned about being a good friend? Like, what does that mean and what does that look like for you? And what is the standard that you hold yourself to when it comes to friendship?
You have to really look deeper into the fact of really wanting the future of your friendship. I don't think a lot of people look into the future of your friendship. And there's a lot of, friendships that I've had in my life that I'm like, this person's going to be a bridesmaid. And then 2 years later, I'm like, whoa, I thought that person was going to be a bridesmaid. Like, where was that going? Like, what the heck? And so I think for keeping myself in check with friends, I really look now at what are they doing in their life? How do they treat other friends of theirs? What do they do in their normal life that's like their self-confidence or whatever that they are? Because when you date someone, coming back to it, when you date someone, you're looking at like, what are they doing to better themselves? What are they doing to make themselves a better partner, a better person? You're not going to date some random, I mean, maybe you will date some random loser, God bless. But if you're not going to go out and be like, yo, my friend's a loser, let's become better friends. No, it's like, you're not doing that. So you want to look at what are they doing for their life and their friends and their future that will also include you in their future. Like, are they trying? Is a two-way street? The whole like, you can call them, they can call you. What's that thought process, So I think a lot of the greater aspect of it is wanting to see where your future will go with them. If you were to move states, would they stay in contact with you? If you were to, hey, I'm doing this. If like, I always think like, if I was to win the lottery, who would be the 5 friends that I would take and be like, you're quitting your job and you're coming with me for the rest of my life. That type of vibe,
I've talked about that a little bit. Like, it's not weird to create a list of friends that you want. Like, I love lists. Yeah. And I feel like if it's out of sight, it's out of mind for me. So sometimes, like, I've done that in the last year. It's like, what friends we're from Albuquerque. We haven't been there in 4 months. I feel like I'm starting to lose touch with some of them, which is natural, right? It just that's happens. So when I go back, I only have so much time. I can't hang out with every single one of them. I would like to, but I can't. And that's just the way that life is. It's not fair. It doesn't mean that I don't like them, but like, who are the 5 that I really want to maintain that friendship with? And I don't know. I feel like maybe we feel like people feel like if they have to do that, it's not worth it, or maybe it feels too forced or too contrived. But it's like, no, a list is sometimes extremely helpful to see it, to visualize, okay, here's the 30 friends I could think of. Now, like, let me circle the ones that I don't think I could live without.
Yeah.
And then once you realize that there's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, then you can figure out how to better invest your actual time into those relationships. You know what I mean?
I love a good list. I use in my notes app when I do something kind of like that. Each year I have who I would invite to my birthday. If I had like an intimate birthday.
Dude.
And then the next year I put who I would invite to that birthday, and then who I would invite the next birthday. And I see how it changes over the years. It's been the most insane turnaround, like, and it's funny to see who you put first, who changes, like what's the thought process of that.
How has it changed? Without giving names, like how has
a
it
lot
changed?
like I think there's been one or two consistent people, and then there's the people that are like, over the last year they haven't really spoken to me that much, or like would I invite them to a personal intimate 10-person dinner or something like that. It's like the birthday dinner list. I always laugh and I always say, like, there's like the people you would invite to your wedding, and then there's like the intimate like if you were to have like a celebration party or something like that, like who would you invite, you know? A good way that I keep in contact with some of my like long-term I guess, but long distance friends is like on Sundays or Wednesdays, it depends on the friend, but I call them like dump days, and we send 5 to 10 photos of that week to each other of like, hey, I don't want to like really update you on the random boring stuff, but like here's 5 to 10 photos from my week, and you can swipe through them, and then I'll send mine, and like we'll like talk about whatever.
I love that.
Yeah,
Are
great.
you capping
That's
this
sick.
birthday list at 10 always?
I usually do 10, yeah.
Why?
10 to 12 is like, because I feel like if you have really close friends, there's not going to be more than 10 of them, because then it's not close friends. They're friends. They're they're like, you could still be close with them, but they're not like, you're like diehard, like you're not updating 12, 15 people on your daily life. You're doing like 5 maybe.
You know, that's like something that's really hard for me to accept, and that I just need to learn to accept, that there's not enough time.
Yeah.
And there's not enough space in your brain to have more than like 10 close friends.
Yes.
And
you can have friends, but really, really, really close, deep, meaningful.
Like the next time you see them, you don't have to just update them on your life because they already know.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's just hard for me, but it's like, okay, more and more people are saying it.
Yeah.
And obviously it's true. And that's okay.
Yeah.
It's
okay the quality, quote unquote, quality over quantity.
Yeah.
You know, I saw a TikTok the other day of this girl that was like, I have 2 friends in my life that are really good friends. Why do I feel like I'm missing out? And it was so interesting, because when you have those 2 best friends, it's like so awesome. And people look at that like, wow, I wish I had that. But they have 20 friends, acquaintances, but they don't have those 2 BFF close friends that you're like die hard. Like you could just, you know, like the other day, one of my friends, Gabby, I was like, we were out together, just hanging out. And then I was walking her home, like back to get on the train. And she was like, do you just want to stay over? And I was like, yeah, okay. I'll just leave in the morning. And it was nice because it's like kind of like that vibe of like, you don't have, there's low lift friendships where you're just like, yeah, okay, sure, like whatever. And it was never like I could show up at her door and she wouldn't be like, what are you doing here? She'd be like, oh, cool. Like, what are you doing? Like, you know, it's kind of like I can ring her doorbell and she wouldn't be like, why are you here? What are you doing? It's like, hey, I checked your location, saw you were home. I came over. Like, you know, like.
It's like perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of being envious or wishing that you had more.
Yeah.
If you have 3 or 4, homie, you're rich.
Yeah. Like very. But a lot of people don't see that because they're like, I only have 4 friends. Like,
and they don't see it because they're comparing themselves to like an image of somebody.
Yeah.
Which is like, they also, you think they have 20 friends, but they're only probably close to 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're hosting this gathering of 10 people, 10 to 12.
Okay.
I have a dinner party question that I keep in my back pocket that it just popped into my head one day, and I have kept it in my head ever since.
It's in your front pocket. It comes out every time.
Yeah, it's in my front pocket, but it's in my breast pocket. I'm pulling it out at any moment. I'd like to ask it to you, and then also if you have any of these such questions.
Okay.
It's a 2-parter. I promise to end on a high note.
Okay.
Of the 7 deadly sins, which are you and why?
Wait,
I'll tell you. Yes, I will tell you. We have gluttony,
Okay.
envy, wrath, lust, sloth. Help me out here. I got 5.
Greed.
Oh yeah, greed and pride.
Pride, greed,
Yeah.
wrath, envy, lust, gluttony, and sloth.
Yeah.
Okay, can you explain gluttony and sloth?
Okay, so sloth is like more laziness.
Okay.
Gluttony is more overindulgence.
I would say overindulgence, gluttony in a different way. So like, I don't like things. Like I don't really want things. I want it for everybody. So I really am like, kind of like, I'll do all of these things and like overindulge all this stuff so that like everyone can feel it too. Like I really put it
No,
all.
Marissa, you can't. This is like
No?
saying what's your worst quality and you be like, I'm just such a hard worker.
No, it's not like, oh yeah, that was terrible. You're so right. I used that for one of my job interviews when I was like 17. I got the job. So just saying, you can lie too.
I will end on a high note and we will talk about positive qualities.
I'm trying to think of
No,
like.
that's a good one though. That makes sense. But yeah, it's got to be.
But I would say like, I mean, I get it's more because I do. Okay, let me see. I would probably say less then, because I feel like I am so, like, I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it then, because I'm trying to look for like the other definition of it almost.
Sure.
But I'm so like, when I go out and talk to people, I'm like, no, like I need you in my life. Like I'm like, no, you're coming home with me. No, but but it's like seriously, like I'm like, no, like you're gonna be in my life, like whether you like it or not, kind of vibe, like, and not like in a scary way, like I'm not gonna like force you to be my friend, but like in terms of like, it's almost like, oh, this is gonna throw me under the bus so bad. This whole episode, they're gonna be like, I'm throwing this out, but it's like, I'm like, you meet me, I'm cool, I'm fun. I'm like, what? Like you don't want to be friends with me? I'm like, what? But I'm like, obviously, like sometimes I don't get along with people, or you don't get along with me. That's totally fine. We butt heads, like fine. We're not always meant to be friends with everybody, which is like something people need to learn. But the thing is like I'm always like, no, like I want to collect you into my lifestyle and like force you to like be. That's what I was saying earlier. I'm the collector. Like I have all these friends, but I don't have that like core group because I like collect all these people places, and then I'm like, no, you're coming into my life. Like you are. That's the choice, like kind of vibe. So I think that's, I would say that for sure.
I think that's an interpretation maybe more of greed than lust.
Okay.
Or even pride too, but I'm
Sure.
very. You're the only woman that's chosen lust so far. I feel like most men that we ask.
I think most people are scared of like the sexuality aspect of it.
Like most men do say lust because they're men.
Which
that's fair enough. Fair enough.
Okay, we'll end on a high note.
Okay.
Of the 7 virtues, which are you and why? I'll tell them to you.
Okay.
Will you, or do you want me to?
Chastity, charity, kindness, patience, diligence, temperance, and humility.
Wow, killer shit, man.
Okay. Whew.
Basically the opposite of all the sins.
Okay.
You ready again? Humility, charity, chastity, kindness.
Chastity is like abstinence.
Celibacy.
Almost. Yeah.
Throw that one out there.
Not that one.
I just said lust. I'm not throwing chastity onto the other side. Okay, so chastity.
You should though. That'd be fucking hilarious.
Yeah, crazy. Chastity and patience. Throw it out that one.
Kindness. Kindness. Temperance.
Okay.
Temperance
What's
is like a
self-control.
keeping your cool.
No. Temperance is self-control.
Okay.
So temperance is the opposite of gluttony. Gluttony is like overindulgence.
Okay.
Temperance is self-control.
Okay. What about charity? Charity is like feeling for others kind of vibe?
Yeah. Charity can be more than just money. So
your time.
I feel very strongly that Elliot's virtue is charity because he's very charitable with his time and energy. He's always asking people like, how can I help you? What can I do for you?
Yeah. I think that's mine. I think I'm charity. I'm always like, I meet one person once and I'm like, let me know how I can literally do anything for you ever, anytime. Call me at 2 a.m. I literally answer. Like, and it's kind of like, it can be a blessing and a curse. I think that sometimes I like oversell it. And I was even talking earlier today to a friend that, one time I was trying to help a girl with like, just like moving or something like that. And then let her in on all of just like, what I wish someone kind of told me, whatever. And then she told my entire business plan and like my entire business and like just like turned it around, like all this stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, I just gave you my entire time. And like, but it's kind of like sometimes I overhelp because I'm like, I wish I had that when I was starting or like when I was in life and whatever. So I try to like, I want to help a stranger. If I see someone sitting alone at a table, I'm like, you're joining. Like it's always loaning something that even if I don't have it, I want to have it so that you can have it and feel like included or wanted or, if you want to ask me something, I'll try to find the answer for you. And it's kind of like that. If I don't know the answer, I'm going to find it so that you can have the answer.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say charity's mine.
Mm-hmm.
Charity and kindness, I feel like kind of go hand in hand a little bit.
I think kindness to me is more of an affect and charity is more like giving.
Oh,
like
okay, so
charity is almost more of an action and kindness is more of a
it was like just
being
you as a
temperament.
person.
Yeah,
Sure. Okay,
yeah.
cool. Yeah.
What is yours?
Mine is diligence.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you say
Get
that?
shit done.
I grew up as a dancer and I
Okay.
think that people who grew up doing sports of any kind are just like regimented
Yeah.
and that sets you up with a lot of skills. And I have a kind of a type A brain. I have a degree in chemistry and a degree in dance, which is hilarious.
Okay, you're smart or whatever.
I did do calculus
and nimble.
at one point. If you gave me a blank US map, I would not be able to fill it out, but that is okay.
But at least you know the table of elements.
Yeah, if you give me a periodic table, that's a different story.
Kind of
So
a
I
map,
have
maybe.
I have sort of like the brain of like, how are we going to get this done? And
Okay.
then let's go get it done.
Okay. That's fair.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any questions that you're like, we're at a dinner party, I'm with my 10 friends that I've invited to my birthday, and you're asking them just like a question out of left field?
Or some ritual, yeah.
Yeah, mine would be if you could quit your job and start your passion project, what would it be?
Mm. If you could quit your job and start your passion project, what would it be?
What I'm doing. It's 100% like starting the third space for No More Lonely Friends, starting that like lounge every day, like hangout spot for people to just hang out and make friends and whatever, like doing those events and stuff. That would be like my like main, obviously big goal, like of that type of, if you're talking about like a specific physical object of something that I could do.
Mhm.
But what I'm doing right now is like the biggest dream I've ever had in my entire life. So I
That's
found
amazing.
an essay I wrote back in 2015 or something like that in college. And I found it literally the other day, like maybe like a month or two ago. And it was literally me. I don't even know how old I was, like what, 17 or something like that, and 18. And it said like, my name is Marissa Meizz, blah, blah, blah. One day I'm going to own my own company and travel the entire world for work. I don't know how I'll do it, but one day I'll get there. And I was like, I read it and I just started sobbing because I was like, oh my God, I literally do that.
Yeah.
As my daughter. And it just made me like freaked out, but it was awesome. And I was just like, this is my dream. So it's been really cool. But
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm happy for you.
Thank
for
you.
real. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
It's cool shit that
I
you're doing.
appreciate that.
Seriously.
Thank you.
I don't know if actually people even think about this, but is there a question that you wished people asked you more?
Ooh, that's a good one.
We
Yeah.
came up with this thinking about you're known for No More Lonely Friends, but you actually do so many more things than just that.
Mhm.
And we didn't want to pigeonhole this interview of only talking about No More Lonely Friends.
Yeah.
Like, what about you, the person, Marissa?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think if so, this is kind of funny because if someone doesn't ask me something, I'll usually make a way to find, like, if I want to say something. So that's on like a whole nother level of other things. But I think when it comes to No More Lonely Friends, I think they lack the purpose of like why, and like they only focus on like, oh, you lost friends, that's why you're doing it. I'm like, actually no. My entire life, if you talk to my mom, my friends when I was a kid, like anything, all the time I was like, I just want people to like feel less lonely, and also like I want there to be a way to just like meet people and hang out. I think that there's a lack of just like third spaces in the world that don't cost money, like a bar or something like that, where you have to go out and spend money. I think that I wish people asked more about the purpose of all of this and the purpose of like what I'm doing. So when I travel, yes, it's fun. I have a great time. Like I travel, whatever. It's great. I see the world. I do the cool things. But I think in a bigger purpose, there's like also the aspect of I'm doing this to show people that they can do certain things, or I talk on podcasts because I want people to be like, whoa, like the confidence level that they have, or like the things that she talks about, like, do my friends think that way too? Like, oh, I should talk to people more. I should get outside more. I should talk to strangers. I should meet more people. I think there's just like a deeper loss of why what I'm doing makes sense and also matters. But I want people to like really listen. I don't know how this like translates into a question more or less, but I really just like kind of hope that people are like, what, like, why are you doing this? I think that's the question. Why are you doing this? Like, what are you doing this for? What do you hope comes out of this? I think that's it. What do you hope comes out of all of this? Is that one, people like listen to these things or watch my videos or something, and they, I get those comments like that one the other day where it was like the other day I wish I was a man so I could do all of this, but then I saw you doing it and you're a woman and I'm a woman, like I can do this.
Yeah.
And it's stuff like that where I'm just like, I cry, first of all, but second of all, that's so cool that you saw something that I did or listened to a podcast that I did and you're like, oh shit, that could be me. Like that could be me. And I think that's a lack of worldly issues that, we didn't teach a certain way, or after college or whatever, you're on your own. Like you don't really get taught that type of vibe. But I think in a general sense that I really wish people listen to something or watch something that I do and just really push their full potential of like, this could be me. I know there's like a lot of like middle ground of like anxiety, stuff like that happens. And I've been there, trust me. But I think that in a term that they watch something or listen to something and they're like, I could be more, or I see myself as something more, and they want to push themselves to be more.
Mic drop.
Amen.
Bop.
We could literally talk to you forever.
I could talk to you guys forever. This is great.
I also have recommendations for other places in Denver to give you ideas about third spaces. So after we're done.
Okay, cool.
Is there something that you're working on or that you're inspired by, or something that you want to plug that's your own or a friend's that you want the audience to hear about and go look at and do and be inspired by?
Obviously, just No More Lonely Friends. Like, I'm really hoping to open that third space. That would be awesome by the end of this year, throwing it out there in the universe. Woo! When I open up my third space, I'm just going to like revisit this clip and talk about it. Okay?
Yeah.
And we're manifesting that we'll be there on opening day.
You will be there on opening day.
For sure.
We will be.
100%.
But I think overall, just like my socials, I think I really put a lot of time and effort into those. I want to start doing like travel group trips. So if you're looking to travel the world. But yeah, I really just want you to get outside and see you to your fullest potential and be you and have a great life and not regret anything. YOLO.
Hey, yo.
Sick.
Thanks, Marissa.
Yay,
Yeah,
thanks,
thank you.
guys. Oh my gosh, you guys are the best.